Welcome to episode 2 of Teched Up. We are joined today by our technology and popular cultural guru, Brad Bennett, and you can email him at bradfad@noac.ca. Brad, what's going on?
Not much. I guess I'm kind of upset they lost the fashion guru thing
You
for
can
my
still
name.
be the fashion guru. You wear Megan, so you are head and shoulders above me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Good. Good.
today we're going to talk about, we're going to break down each of our top 5 favorite songs. But before we get to that, you've just graduated high school, Brad.
Yeah.
You are in
Recently.
the middle of your summer. You're off to Trent University in I guess in 6 weeks. How does it feel?
I don't know. For the longest time, the night of grad and the week after was like really surreal. It was just like, whoa, done high school. Like it's over. I'm done. I couldn't see myself going back, and I just couldn't see anyone else going back. But a lot of people are. And then it was just really normal, like a normal summer hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. Going to Ottawa, things, just normal things for a long time. And now, the other day, me and Devin like road tripped up to Trent, and we visited Peterborough and the school, and we like toured the residencies and stuff. And it's starting to get a lot more, like I'm starting to get a lot more excited and anxious. And I bought a bunch of like stuff for my room today, and I'm starting to get like really anxious to go.
Anxious but excited anxious or
Yeah,
nervous
definitely.
anxious?
Like excited, anxious, like time to just like get ready and just like go. Oh yeah, it's exciting. I made my schedule and stuff, so I have all my classes and it's
So
awesome.
it's becoming a little more real.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Well, that is very exciting for sure. Um, at the end of this episode, we're going to just talk about what's new in technology. Brad's going to link this podcast to a couple of things that's on his mind in terms of the tech world. Um, so let's get started here. Actually, before we get started, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Try Hard Apparel. And let's do our second ever contest. Uh, Being the first person to email you at bradfad, that's BRADFAD, at noac.ca with their favorite song will receive a free Try Hard Apparel t-shirt. How does that sound?
It sounds cool to me. I'll be expecting a couple of emails, I guess.
Yeah, okay, all right. Now, if anyone sends a favorite song by Pitbull, they will be instantly disqualified. Do you
Probably
have
anything. I think like anything like just the generic like Justin Bieber and stuff like that can't be. I think the disqualification for that.
Which is ironic because our main sponsor, Austin Pierce, founder of Try Hard Apparel, is a huge Bieber fan.
I've heard that. He loves them. That One Direction. He has a Liam poster in his room.
I heard rumors about that.
Yeah, it's there. It's
All
like
right.
life size.
Okay, let's move. Let's talk about how you came up with your list.
Okay, cool.
And let's not disclose this list. Let's have an element of suspense to this. But like, what were some of the parameters or the criteria in developing your top 5 songs?
Okay, so being 18, being part of the teenage generation, my song choices, my music taste changes with the wind, as most 18-year-olds do, I believe, as far as I can tell. But like these 5 songs I picked are ones that I've liked for a long time, and like really, I just really dig the sound and like the idea behind a lot of them and things like that. But for the most part, yeah, there's songs I like, and they kind of a lot of playlists that I make. Like one of these songs or most of them are in them just because they kind of fit with a lot of different moods and musics that I listen to. Yours?
Well, I think for me, it's the context in which I either first heard the song or listened to the song on a regular basis. I think most of my songs, outside of one of them, were kind of in around when I was 18, 19. So I guess that was my formative years, my first few years at Trent. And I guess that was really when I shaped a lot of who I am, and I guess that's when the music kind of really influenced me. And so much, I think, songs, when you hear them, it's all in the context of the mood that you're in or the situation that you're in.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I think there is opportunities for really bad songs that become catchy or remind you of a good time.
Or
Um,
something you didn't like to begin with, and then you hear it in a certain circumstance, and you start to like it after that, or just really start digging the sound in certain instances, I guess.
and I think I can speak for you as well. We're not music experts in terms of riffs and musical theory. This is just a podcast from music fans, correct?
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't know much about music. I just certain things sound nice to me, and I enjoy them, and I listen to them. And yeah, I wouldn't know much about like bridges or sound quality or anything like that.
And then I think finally, before we get to our list, I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to know the real meaning of the song. Sometimes I just want to take it for what I think it means. Now, we're going to disclose some of what we think it means as compared to what the internet says about it. But what's your feeling about that? About when people tell you what the song is about?
I totally agree. Like if you're listening to a song, and you're like, oh, this is really like a sweet song, and then someone tells you like, no, this is about like death or something, and then you're like, whoa, this is actually kind of messed up, or it's like really just different than what you thought it was, and it kind of changes your whole outlook and could possibly like ruin the song, which kind of sucks, but it happens.
Okay, so why don't we go back and forth? Let's start at the bottom, and you go your number 5, then I'll go my number 5, and then your number 4, and my number 4, and so on, going on top of the list. All right, so let's tell our listeners what your number 5 song is.
All right, so my number 5 song, it's actually pretty generic. I'm assuming a lot of people listen to this band, but it's like a recent band that's been around for a while, but didn't get wildly popular until I think 2012 or 2013. It's the band Bastille. So the name Bastille comes from the French fortress that was one of the first main battlements that was destroyed in the French Revolution. It was destroyed by like the rebels or the revolutionaries, I guess, and then it was actually destroyed for no purpose because it wasn't actually a battlement. It was more of like just a stat, like a monument than anything else, I guess. But the song is called "The Draw," and it's from their album All This Bad Blood. So the first album was called Bad Blood, and then there was Bad Blood, like extended edition, and then All This Bad Blood was like a culmination of a lot of other songs that they had, and this song was on it. And I listened to a few songs, and then exam period, like Christmas exam period this year, I bought the entire album, and I listened to it entirely through exams, and I kind of got sick of it, all except this one song. And it just it starts off really slowly, and it builds and builds, and then the last like 30 seconds is just like crazy, just like built all the way up and just kind of like rocks hard. And whenever I kind of feel intense, I guess, or like intense, I want to listen to this song. I just want to build and I want to like release everything. Is my feelings about this song, I guess.
What was their hit? Was it Pompeii?
Yeah, Pompeii and then Flaws, I think, are their two biggest ones. And they're like the ones that are generic. Oh, another cool thing about this band is they have, if you can find it on YouTube, they had two albums called Other People's Heartache and Other People's Heartache Part 2, and they were all covers, but they didn't quite, like before they were famous, they made these, and they didn't have the copyright laws, so most of them, they all got taken down. But you still kind of find some on YouTube, and there's like a really good cover of like Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, or like Blue Jeans by Lana Del Rey, or like there's just a bunch of random covers, and they're actually really, really good if you can find them and listen to them.
Okay, so that was number 5 for Brad, The Draw by Bastille. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
All right. Well, okay, my number 5, and I think you're going to giggle about this because you know part of the story of this song. It's Motorcycle Drive-By by Third Eye Blind. And I saw Third Eye Blind at Blues Fest, and they put on an incredible show this past summer. It's so nice to go to a concert where you just know every song.
Did they play this one?
They didn't, which gives me motivation to go back and see them again.
Fair enough.
But other than that, they played everything that I wanted to play. And number 5 really could have been Semi-Charmed Life, which was probably their biggest hit for me. But I kind of wanted to go outside the box. And Motorcycle Drive-By, as a former English teacher, this is a song that can have multiple meanings. Mm-hmm. But to me, it just, I don't know. To me, it reminds me because I listened to it my first year at Trent, and as you know, which you think is very cheesy, is I copied the lyrics to the song underneath my residence desk, which is really cliche.
I'm
But
I'm hoping to find it. Like I'm gonna search. I'm gonna find it.
yeah, and that would be a good selfie opportunity, I believe.
One of the best,
Yeah.
one of the better ones for sure.
So the line that the two lines that stand out for me is I've never been so alone, but I've never been so alive. It's kind of like you're taking, and it applies to going away to school. You're out on your own. You're away from your safety net, but all of a sudden you have this opportunity to live, to kind of let your it's cliche, but you kind of spread your wings and fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cliche, but to me, that's what it meant for me. Like I went from a relatively big fish in a small pond to a smaller fish in a big pond, and that's what it meant to me. There is a lot of imagery here. Some people, some English teachers even think it's about suicide, and I don't think it is at all. Just because there's light and dark imagery doesn't mean it's about death. But I mean, if that's what you how you interpret it, then fine. But like you said in your number 5 song, it's really the pace of the song as it builds. There's slow, and then it really builds to a fast pace. And I think there's a trend in my list of that, the kind of the change of pace. So that's Motorcycle Drive-By by Third Eye Blind.
Actually, before we move on, I've listened to that song a lot lately.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of like Third Eye Blind, and then you always talked about it, so I started listening to it, and the whole, I don't know, I just been listening to it a lot, and the line that gets me is like the cigarette ashes fly by in your eye, something, and then it's just like, you don't believe me, you're so serene.
Yep.
That the smoothness of that line is what really I felt like that in the moment I was listening to it was the line that I felt the best about. That's the line that really spoke to me. And it was just it was about, I don't know, just looking at relationships and stuff in general, but it's cliche and it's kind of corny, I guess, but that's the part that I like the most.
Yeah, and I think you could deconstruct the song line by line, and it's just full of imagery. And as an English teacher, that's something that I really liked about it. So that was Third Eye Blind, Motorcycle Drive-By, number 4. Give me your number 4, Brad.
All right, number 4.
That was my number 5. Sorry, here's your number 4.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So my number 4, also kind of cliche, not much of a story behind it, just more about, I guess, friendship than anything, which is kind of weird and kind of corny, but it's Lightning Crashes by the band Live.
Yeah, and that goes back to a bit of my childhood, too, so I was really happy to see this on your list.
Was it? Okay, cool. I don't know why I always been a big fan of music, like I said, cliche teenager into music, so I browse iTunes and bands that are close to bands that I've downloaded, and I would look them up and find songs. And it was one night at 8 o'clock, and I listened to this song, and then it's just the building chorus, angel closes her eyes and stuff like that. I was just wow, that's really cool. That seems like a sweet line. And then Brandon came over later that night, and we listened to it. We both kind of just fell in love with the song.
Shout out to Brandon Kelly, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you'll see him again in high school.
Yes.
And then we both really liked it, and then I guess we started hanging out with more and more people, and so a lot of our friends already liked that song. So whenever it's one of those songs we're all just driving around to, it's something that will always it generally gets played, and everybody just sings along. The top of the line is just screaming out the lyrics and just having a really good time with it.
The chorus is very screamable, especially at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This was believe it or not, back in my day, high school dances were quite popular, even for senior students, and this typically was kind of the encore type song at any type of high school dance that I went to.
Cool. And then,
is it though? I don't know if it is.
Yeah, I guess it's actually because of the meaning of the song, right?
Okay.
As far as I can tell, the meaning is about complications in labor and then the mother dying. That's what it seems like to me? What does it seem like to you?
I think that's the general. the general belief is that's what it's about. Apparently, the lead guitarist wrote this song in his brother's room just before he was moving out, and
Mm.
so apparently it's like a cycle of life thing, and it could be about at the hospital the cycle of life of like an elderly woman dying, but then a baby being born,
That could
and
also,
that's where the
yeah,
scream. Yeah, so I kind of like that interpretation as well.
yeah. That's a lot more. There's a lot less like gruesome and a lot less sad than the original. What I thought it was for sure.
Now, if you're into live, I Alone, I believe that's off the same album. Also, nearly made my list. I would check that song out if anyone likes live.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I know I Alone, and then there was one other one, but I don't remember what it was called that I liked that we all kind of listened to at the same time, like me and Brandon. But this one definitely my favorite, and it gets played quite a lot, with just like hanging out with people and like driving around. So I thought I'd put it on just for the sure like enjoyment and the fact that I wanted other people to kind of have the same experiences, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll transition into my number four, and this goes, I guess, to my. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that I have hip hop roots, um, but I think hip hop and rap is kind of a fundamental part of basketball culture. And Public Enemy wrote this song called "He Got Game," and it was based on, or it was written for the movie of the same name with Denzel Washington and Ray Allen. And I think that came out around '98. And I think today's culture might recognize the name Flavor Flav or Chuck D, really grandfathers or godfathers of modern day hip hop and rap. And they wrote this song after a 4-year hiatus. And from what I read, researching this song, the movie, I guess, is supposed to be a metaphor for the plight of the urban black male and, trying to better their situation. I like the movie. It's a little artsy in the end, and I guess, a little cliche, but it's an interesting depiction of what basketball is in the United States. And then a side note is the relationships between a father and son. But what this song also does is it combines Buffalo Springfield's song For What It's Worth. So it's almost like this, I don't know, I guess it's almost like a country song mixed with a hip-hop rap song. And to me, it was the foundation of these kind of weird or not expected duets. And, we see that with Eminem and the guy from Fun. We saw it back in the day with Nelly and Tim McGraw. Kind of
It
these.
almost seems like the entire Great Gatsby soundtrack was these weird, unexpected duets with like this weird classical music overlaid with rap, almost. If
And
you
yeah,
remember.
so it's interesting. But to me, like, I remember just listening to this song, getting ready for basketball. So, but I think if you depict the lyrics a little more, there's a lot to it. And I mean, there's a couple of bombs dropped in there, and I'm okay with a couple of bombs once in a while. But it really gets to what the game of basketball means to each person. And again, a lot of people think that's cliche, but basketball has been a big part of my development.
Yeah, fair enough. It like whatever. I guess like if you can't really hate it for being like what it is, and if it's what like drove you and it what makes sense to you, then put it on the list, right?
All right. Okay. Let's get. We're into your top three now.
All right. My top three is more of an artist. I think she only really has like 10 songs or anything. It's just really new. But her name is Mo. But like I don't know how to pronounce the O part of it because it's a O with like a slash through it. She's
a
from
backslash or forward slash.
1 second, I'll check. It's like coming towards the M. Like the top is it's going left, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
She has one album called No Mythologies to Follow, and I don't know. I just kind of started listening to it because for some strange reason I was just on RDO, which I'll get into what it is later. And I was just listening to music, and this came on, and I just been listening to it like a lot. It's like this really electric kind of skippy, I guess probably like pop, indie kind of like beats and lyrics and stuff. And she's really like she's not much. There's not much I can tell behind the lyrics of what is like any deeper meaning or anything like that. It's just the story of her is kind of cool. So it's like this indie. She's this girl. I believe she's from Scandinavia, but you can't tell from like she doesn't sound like she has a huge accent in her songs or anything like that, which is really cool. And her
It's
mom
the
was
ABBA
like,
syndrome.
yeah, yeah. And her mom was like this huge hardcore hippie. So I watched like a couple of YouTube videos on her, and she basically records all her music in like a homemade blanket fort, where she records all of her music and then adds in all the beats and the instruments and stuff later, and then she records most of it there, and she can also play like piano and stuff. And then her story that she told was that she was obsessed with the Spice Girls, and she's been on music ever since. So it's not really a deeper meaning, or it doesn't even have any meaning to me. It's just something I listen to that I really, really have enjoyed, and other music like it I've enjoyed, but this one's easily my favorite. And it's just something I can see myself listening to for a long, long time after this. And that's just Mo /O, and the album's No Mythologies to Follow. And I guess her story's pretty cool, and support for someone indie is always fun. Would be what I've got for that one.
Okay, I like that. All right, my number 3 is from Rage Against the Machine, and it's called Renegades of Funk. I guess Rage, I listen to Rage and when I need to be pumped up or when there's an angry situation that needs to be resolved. Rage can be a little aggressive, but this song is really about a sense of rebellion. And actually, it's a cover song. It's a cover of Afrika Bambaata's song from 1983. So I compared the two, and this is the first time I realized it was a cover. And Rage is a band that's kind of a hybrid. They've got the heavy element, they got a hip hop element, they got an electro element, and this song, the Raptors actually used it as a warm-up song in 2006. So obviously, I then stole that, and we used that for high school basketball warm-up. I could try to continue to use that as the years go by. And if you look at the song, there are a lot of allusions and direct references to political figures and allusions to pioneers of funk music. And going back to kind of my former self as an English teacher or a history teacher, you could really, a cool assignment would be to research all these allusions. You know, they talk about Malcolm X, they talk about these grandfathers of funk, and do we really know like what Malcolm X did? Do we really know what role LL Cool J had in the evolution of funk music? So again, I think there's a lot of meaning into it, but I just really, really like the song. It's one of my it's obviously one of my top favorites, but probably my best pump-up song.
Okay, cool. I see a trend with a lot of pump-up music in your list.
Yeah, for life.
Of course, be pumped up all the time.
Word.
I can see it.
Okay, what got your silver medal position?
Silver medal is Caring is Creepy by the Shins. The Shins are a band frontman by a guy named James Mercer. He's actually in a different band now, which I think it might be actually more popular than the Shins, called Broken Bells. But this was the first song on their debut album from 2001. This album, O Inverted World. It was really cool. I really liked it. I didn't find it by just searching for music. It was from a movie. So most people probably don't know, or no one here knows, but I'm a huge Zach Braff fan. I mean, he's an actor, director, writer, producer, all these things. But he has a movie called Garden State, and it's like kind of like a soft, heavy on like the imagery, and I guess kind of artsy, but not overly.
Sorry, what was the name? Zach
Braff, Braff, and Zach with a C.
I guess it's not. It's a coincidence because in the background there you have Phil Cadlick, whose favorite actor is Zac Efron.
That is yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird that
So
both of
that's
these
where I
guys.
thought you were going.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a warning system how they are into teenage heartthrobs, and I'm kind of worried about it, but I guess we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
I
hmm
found that song really, really catchy. And I
You
think
listen to it?
that's, yeah, and I think that's something the Shins I could really get into.
They have another song called New Slang, which is also in Garden State, and the reason they took off is because of Garden State. Anybody that listened to the album for Garden State of all the songs won a Grammy, I believe, just of how well it's put together. And after that, the show just kind of like took off and became a lot more famous. But this song is, I don't know about the imagery behind it or anything like that. It's just, it's really like catchy and kind of like different, but it makes sense in the same way. And the seeing it in the movie and then just listening to it in my day-to-day life, it's kind of the same thing you said about your number five is the context you listen to it in always like makes it better. And it definitely happened with this, with the movie and things like that. And the Shins is really cool.
Fantastic. All right, my silver medal position. Our first Canadian content, if I'm correct, it's called Crossing a Canyon by 5440. This was from 96, and again, as an English teacher, it can have multiple meanings, a lot of imagery. And how I interpret it is it's about a guy who's, atop a canyon, and you just have this perspective. You're overseeing things, and maybe you're not overseeing the literal meaning of like overlooking something from a high spot, but a more of a metaphorical meaning. And very catchy. It's got a really good beat, almost that you could almost clap to it almost. The line that kind of gets me, and it kind of goes back to my Trent days of or the transition from high school to university of, big fish, small pond to big pond, small fish. If I let go, I could be floating from the river to the sea, and talking about how the bridge is gone and the river is washed away, the only road I'm on, the only road I know. And to me, it's about a transition in life, making a difficult transition or a transition that has to be made. The easy part's done, and now you're challenging yourself. Again, some people have taken this song that he's letting go, that he's suicidal, but I'm not so sure. But very, very catchy, Canadian, Crossing a Canyon, 5440.
Cool. Another cool thing, I just want to go back to the Shins really quickly, and Zach Braff. He has another movie that just came out called Wish I Was Here, and the Shins got back together to create the title track for that movie, which is kind of cool, just because the first one made them so famous that they got back together to create the second one, a song for the second one.
Well, that is very interesting. I wish it would have happened in order, but I guess you had to do this jump in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm building the suspense to the number ones.
Okay, all right. And I guess we don't have a soundboard for a drum roll, but your number one song.
My number one song right now is Take Me to Church by the band Hozier, Hozier.
Really surprised me. When I listened to this today, not what I expected. So I need to let it simmer a little bit, but tell me why this is in your number one spot.
So I was listening to it recently, and I'm big into it, and it's kind of dark almost, I guess, but it's pretty catchy and pretty. I don't want to say edgy. It doesn't seem edgy, but it's got a lot of things about it that really just make me just like fall in love with the song, and it's just like the way that his vocals like just flow and sound like so strong is like a big thing too, and I always took it as it was kind of like dirty, I guess almost, but I was looking at the meaning earlier, and it apparently has quite the big different meaning than I first looked up. If you want me to tell you what I've read. He says it's against homosexuality, kind of, which I don't know if it's true. It might be, and like that might change my outlook on the song, which kind of sucks. But the songs, it just seemed like it was like their reading is like it was F you to the church, and like the church was against homosexuality, and it was, I don't know, it's very weird.
Have you seen the video?
I have not. I've seen like live videos. I didn't actually know there was a video. I never actually
Well,
looked at that.
unless this was a pirated thing, I watched the video and it almost looked like it was heading towards a hate crime, so against homosexuality. So again, I would encourage our listeners to check it out for themselves and see what they think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking it up, it seems a lot weirder, and maybe I shouldn't have put it as a number one. But the song, without knowing anything about it, is actually really cool. Just the way that it sounds, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was more of like a different than what it might have actually turned out to be, which, as we spoke about earlier, may or may not change my perception of the song, and maybe in a couple of weeks I'll have a new number one.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens, right? Your taste, especially you in your formative years, right? I think your taste, like you talked about at the beginning of the pod, they tend to evolve a little quicker. I think my musical tastes are fairly stagnant. However, I went to Darius Rucker at Blues Fest, and he's kind of evolved like from Hootie to this country, and I never thought I would admit to liking country music, but Darius Rucker maybe opened the door a millimeter to maybe check out maybe some of his stuff. But the moment I listened to Eric Church, the pod's over. You got that?
Okay, fair enough. But Darius Rucker in his country music is almost it's similar to it's more country than Hootie and the Blowfish, but his voice still sounds the same, and the vocals are really similar, which is always good.
Okay, and finally, my number one, Santa Monica by Everclear.
Good song.
Unbelievable, catchy song. This was the first CD, if my memory serves correct, this was the first CD I ever got as a gift. So I guess it has some sort of sentimental value to me in that way, and in another way that I'll get to in a second. It went as high as 29 on the Hot Billboard 100 hits in the late 90s, and it gained some notoriety. I believe it was on Rock Band 3, and then Alvin and the Chipmunks actually covered that for one of their movies or something. So again, some people might recognize the song without really knowing what we're talking about here. It's called Santa Monica, and you know, as an English teacher, as a geography teacher, we always talk about the West, and the West was, according to what I think was called the Turner or the Frontier thesis, was the idea that as you move west, life will get better. You know, and to me, life in California seems pretty good, I guess, outside of the traffic and threat of earthquakes. So that's what I kind of think of. And actually, apparently, this song is about suicide, and this lead singer has gone through everything in life, and it's really indicative in a lot of his songs, like Father of Mine, like I'll Buy You a New Life, like Wonderful. Songs that we listen to in sociology class because it really connects to all the social issues. But anyways, apparently his girlfriend jumped off a pier in Santa Monica and committed suicide, and he also attempted later, but obviously made through it. And I do think it can be a kind of an overcoming suicide type of song. Very catchy. Now, in connection to Trent, it was my roommate's favorite song, and Everclear's probably my number one bucket list band in terms to see. I saw Third Eye Blind this summer, so really what's left on my bucket list of bands is Everclear and likely Public Enemy. Fair enough. Okay, Brad, let's summarize. Let's just list your top 5 again, so people who are looking to purchase these songs on iTunes can get a list very succinctly right now. Give me your top 5.
Number 5, The Draw by Bastille. Number 4, Lightning Crashes by Live. Number 3, the artist Mo, which is a girl from Scandinavia, so the O has a slash through it. Number 2, Carrying is Creepy by the Shins. Number 1, Take Me to Church by Hoser.
Okay, my top 5. Number 5, Motorcycle Drive by Third Eye Blind. Number 4, He Got Game, Public Enemy. Number 3, Renegades of Funk, Rage Against the Machine. Number 2, Crossing a Canyon by 5440. And number 1, Santa Monica by Everclear. So join us in this conversation. Drop Brad an email at bradfat@noack.ca. Give him your list, and you will receive a free Try Hard Apparel T-shirt. Now, Brad, let's transition quickly to some goings-on in the tech world. What do you have for us today?
All right. I just thought because we're doing a music podcast, I'd focus a lot more in on the new music services and what I would recommend anyone use over iTunes in the digital age, I guess. But right now in Canada, where I'm assuming most people that listen to us are from, since we're from Canada, there's 3 major ones, and they're in the States and a lot of other places too. But these are the only ones that are in Canada. There's one called Rdio, that's RDIO. Google Play Music, which only really works well on Android phones, and then a new one that's not quite out yet, but you can get advanced invites and will be out probably later this summer. It's called Spotify, which is let me check. Just what's Spotify, and all 3 of them are music streaming services that you pay monthly for, similar to Netflix, except that they're not as limited as Netflix. So right now I pay $10 a month to Rdio, and there's an app and a website, and there's tons of music on each one. So any song you want, all the songs on my list are on there. I'm assuming all the songs in your list are also on there, along with live versions and re-recorded versions and all kinds of stuff, just like iTunes. So you search a song on one. If you like it, you can just stream it. You can listen to it over the internet, like Netflix. Or if you really like it and you pay the $10 monthly fee, then you can download it to your phone and listen to it just like you would on iTunes, which is super handy for anyone that's really big into music and spends $15 or $20 on iTunes cards a month. This is a way better option. And the way that it all syncs across the cloud, so like all of your music is available on any device that you go to your Rdio account on, it's almost like revolutionary, and I'd never look back.
What's your plan? I know we touched on this last episode, but what's your plan for music in your res room?
I've actually kind of changed, and I've decided maybe not to go with a speaker, just because the res room is beside other res rooms, and I'll just probably rely mainly on I'll buy a good pair of headphones, which are not going to be Beats. I'm not a big fan of Beats, but like some earbuds that are pretty decent and the sound quality is good is all I'm looking for. Also, though, backup is I'm bringing a TV because I'm obsessed with technology and video games and things like that, and I have a Chromecast now. So, yeah.
Tell us about the Chromecast, because that's something that I've really I think it's a great alternative to Apple TV and half the price.
Oh yeah, it's $40. You can get them at Walmart, just where the Apple TVs are. And basically, it looks like a USB plug, but it plugs into a USB plug on your TV or wall that you have, like similar to a phone kind of idea, and a HDMI port, which is the same thing you plug in, like your dish and stuff like that. And then once you turn on your TV and go to that HDMI select, so that source or input that it's on, it'll just turn on, and you use your phone to connect it to the internet, and there's no remote. Your phone is the remote. So say I go onto the YouTube app on my phone, and I find Take Me to Church by Hozier, the video, because you said it was really interesting, so I'm looking it up, and I have two people over right now, so I want to show us all. So I hit the button, Send to Chromecast, and then what it does is on the Chromecast, it searches that video on YouTube and then plays it for all of us instantly. And the same works with Netflix or Rdio. Now it works with Rdio. Or if you're on a laptop and using the Google Chrome browser, you can mirror that tab onto the TV, which is pretty handy as well. Or show on an Android phone, show pictures onto the TV or videos that you have already on your phone, and a lot of cool stuff like that.
So not only, like you said, not only does it have to come from a phone, it could come from a Chromebook, right?
Yeah, a Chromebook running, or a Chromebook, a MacBook, a Windows PC, a desktop, anything running Google Chrome as their browser, or iPhone even. It's really accessible to all devices pretty much, that iPhone and Android. And there's a ton of apps that make use of the Chromecast feature now, and it just keeps growing.
So you can simulcast any type, like even if I want to, like I'm making a Google Doc and I want to put it up on a TV, that's doable?
If you're using a computer, yeah. I don't
Okay.
know if you can show Google Docs. I think you might be. I think slideshows might be Chromecastable now, but I'm not 100% certain from like Google Slides.
Okay.
I've
All right.
never done it yet.
Uh,
But you can mirror the Google Docs tab and it'll show up, so it'll work.
yeah. Okay. I think that's a really nice option. And what would you say it was going in at $39.99?
Yeah, $39.99, and then it's just this super simple setup. You just connect it to your Wi-Fi, and then you're good to go, pretty much.
All right. Was there anything else, or is that the end of it?
You just to get back to what I was doing for music in my room, so then I can
Right.
use
Sorry. Yes.
my RDS subscription to stream my music to the Chromecast and play it on my TV if ever I need something louder. But I've decided to be more conservative and not bug anyone on the other side of me with loudspeakers.
I'm interested that you're deciding to go with earbuds rather than Beats. Why?
Okay, so a lot of people really like Beats, but as far as I can tell on the internet, anyone that's a really big fan of music or headphones or like a so-called audiophile, so that's like the name of people that are big into music and audio, don't like Beats because they're too bassy and too metallic on the low ends, which you can buy cheaper headphones that will be better sound quality overall. Especially not the Beats earbuds, which apparently aren't anything special and they're just super regular and just overpriced. You're paying for Beats. You're paying a lot for brand when you could be paying for better sound quality and things like that.
Any thoughts to go with a wireless or Bluetooth earbuds?
I don't know about wireless or Bluetooth earbuds. It just seems like a kind of like a hassle, and then just the plain earbuds that I can tie around my neck and kind of like a necklace is what I usually do, and then just work from there. Keep or show my pocket or a bag, something simple and sounds. Like I'm not huge into sound quality because like I use iTunes and Rdio for my music, and neither of those produce the best sound quality that's possible for like headphones to recognize. So like it's not even worth it. I don't think I would ever spend over $80 on a pair of headphones. I think that'd be my limit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, that's going to conclude Teched Up episode 2. We have another music pod coming up in the near future talking about the top 10 songs that this generation may have never heard. So that's upcoming. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll get that up. Like to thank our co-host, Brad Bennett, our tech, pop
Thanks for
culture
having me.
and fashion guru. Shout out to Austin Pierce and Phil Cadlick, who were there for your moral support. And of course, if you, the man or the boy in your picture throughout the pod, that was our lead sponsor, Austin Pierce, founder and CEO of Try Hard Apparel. Thanks for listening. Take care, and you can't teach that.
Just can't. All right. See you next